Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Blair and today I'm going to share a Disney Q&A, which will be the last installment in this series of Disney videos. So I started off with a packing video and then 6 daily vlogs. I had an expectation versus reality trip recap video. I had a Disney with toddlers tips video. There might have been another one that I'm not thinking of now, and then today we're gonna just do a wrap up with a Q&A video. So I asked on my Instagram and my Facebook page if there were any lingering questions or anything that I could expand upon or elaborate on that would be helpful to those of y'all who have been around. And so I'm gonna go through those questions, and some of them are more kind of fun, like what's your favorite this or that, and then some are more informational. And so I'll try to touch on the questions that were asked most frequently, and there are definitely a few that float to the top that were asked over and over again. So those are obviously the ones that I want to tackle the most, but I'll sprinkle in some of the other ones as well. Before we jump into this video, I do want to remind you that I run an online shop called Blair Lamb Design. So you can always head to blairlambdesign.com, or there's always a link below. I will leave a link below and maybe a little sneaky coupon code for you as well for watching this video. I have all kinds of different t-shirts and apparel, and I have quite a large line of Disney inspired designs like the one I'm wearing now. This is our floral mouse head. It is embroidered and it is a bestseller. We also have a really beautiful embroidered balloon set that has mouse ears in the balloons. I have a really cool cruise line, Disney Cruise Line inspired shirt that we just launched a couple of weeks ago. That's one of my favorite designs we've ever done. So if you're a Disney lover as well, or if you just love cute and casual apparel, then make sure to check out Blair Lamb Design. Like I said, I'll leave a link below. Okay, let's get into the questions. I have gotten so many questions over the past couple of months since I've been sharing content from this trip about Standby Skipper, Genie Plus, Lightning Lanes, and all of the things that go along with it. And what I've come to realize is I think it's a situation where if you've ever been playing a new game, like a board game or a card game with a group of friends, and they're explaining it to you and they're explaining it to you, and it's just kind of all jumbled in your brain, but then as soon as you play around, it clicks and you get it. I think that's absolutely the case with this, because I feel like I've explained it in several different ways and it seems that there's still a lot of confusion. And I really think it's a situation where once you jump in, it will make sense immediately. To give you a broad overview, Genie Plus is basically the new FastPass Plus system at Disney World. You do have to pay for it. So as of now, April 2023, you cannot pre-purchase Genie Plus. There was a time when you could. Now you have to buy it for every day of your trip, day by day as you go, and you can make your first Lightning Lane selection at 7 a.m. So your Lightning Lanes are your Fast Passes. It's the same thing. The only difference is that you're paying for them. Many Lightning Lanes you can just book because you've already purchased Genie Plus, and then for the attractions that are most popular, you have to pay an additional fee on top of that to get the Lightning Lane for that one. So like the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, for example. And then separate from all of that, that's all within the Disney app, is an app that's called Standby Skipper. That's so cool. That was recommended to me before our trip. And because you have to be on the app at increments all through the day in order to book your Lightning Lane selections through Genie Plus, as I'm saying this, I can see why there's confusion, but I promise once you dive in, it won't be as confusing. Standby Skipper is a separate third-party piece of technology. You sign up for it for a day or for the week, and you pay for the service, and you log into Standby Skipper and log into Genie Plus through Standby Skipper, and then Standby Skipper makes your Genie Plus selections so that you don't have to be on your phone all during the day while you're in Disney to make sure that you're making those Lightning Lane selections at the appropriate time. It's a mouthful. I will link a couple of videos below that people have filmed that maybe are more articulate than I am, or that will just help you understand it more. But I really do want to just tell you, it really is like what I said earlier. As soon as you jump in, I think you'll understand it. It really does click. It's hard to envision before you're able to get into the app and really kind of get your hands dirty with it, but it really does make a lot of sense. I loved using Standby Skipper. I think it was fantastic. The idea of having to be on my phone at regular intervals all throughout the day in order to make Lightning Lanes while I'm tending to 2 toddlers and we're navigating through the parks and everything else, does not sound fun to me. And so for $45, which is what the fee is for a week of Standby Skipper, that made a lot of sense for our family. And I really, really, really liked it. And I would definitely use it in the future. That's just my 2 cents. I'm sure there are other folks who feel differently, but we really liked Standby Skipper. The Genie Plus system is great. It works. I miss the FastPass system and the simplicity of it. I even remember the paper FastPasses, but that's a conversation for another day. Every time I do a Disney Q&A video, I get lots and lots of questions about DVC. Are you DVC members? The answer is no. Have you thought about becoming DVC members? The answer is yes. And have you ever thought about renting DVC points? The answer again is yes. The thing is, we are in a stage of life that our life isn't 100% settled. We have 2 little kids. We both run businesses, and there's a lot of moving parts. Let's just say that. And so for us to commit to DVC at this time, financially and otherwise, just doesn't make a lot of sense for us. And so that's not something we're pursuing at this moment. We've been actively for 3 years trying to purchase a new home. We have not had a lot of success finding a home that suits our needs. So that's been our primary financial goal, and anything else has to go to the wayside. And so we're not even thinking about DVC at this point in time. Ask me again in 5 or 10 years and I might have a different answer. As far as renting DVC points, yes, we have thought about it many, many times. In fact, we're talking about the next time that we go back to Disney World, renting DVC points. The issue that we have had in the past is that you are locked in. There's no flexibility. Once you rent DVC points, that's it. That's when you're going. You can't, there's no changing it. There's no backing out for a full, easy refund. And this trip that we just went on in January into early February, we had canceled and rebooked 3 to 5 times because of different things in our life and different things that had happened. And so that flexibility is really important to us. So we will see. I don't have anything against it. It's just a situation where it hasn't worked out for our family yet, but when the day comes that we rent DVC points, and maybe when the day comes that we buy into DVC, I will certainly share our experience with it. I had a few questions about meal plans, whether I would like the meal plans to be reinstated, and the answer is absolutely yes, I would. I really, really, really would. I really liked that from a budgeting perspective because it was a lot easier to plan ahead for our whole entire time, and I just really preferred being able to know that everything was prepaid and we could just I like structure like that. So yeah, I would totally go back to meal plans if we had the opportunity. I hope they bring them back. Someone asked about my thoughts on the Magic Band Plus. Not worth it, in my opinion. I just did not find that it was worth it. It did a few little light up things and whatnot, but the fact that you have to remember to charge it every night is another thing to think about, and the reward for that did not feel worth it. So I personally don't feel like the Magic Band Pluses are worth it. There were quite a few people who asked about my opinion on the Grand Floridian versus Beach Club, because we've stayed at the Grand Floridian twice and then we just stayed at the Beach Club on this trip, and pros and cons and differences and that kind of thing. I loved both resorts so much. I really genuinely enjoyed both resorts so much, and I would love to stay at either one again. The Beach Club was really fun because it has access to, you can walk to Epcot. If you walk to the front of Epcot, you can take the monorail over to Magic Kingdom, and you can use the Skyliner to go to Hollywood Studios, and you can also walk to Hollywood Studios, which one night we did walk back from Hollywood Studios. So the only one of the 4 parks that you have to take a bus to get to is Animal Kingdom, and I loved that because with the stroller, it's really nice not to have to break it down. So that's a huge bonus and +1 for Beach Club. With the Grand Floridian, you can walk to Magic Kingdom, take the monorail to Magic Kingdom, or you can take the monorail over to Epcot. So it's only 2 parks that you can get to, but the proximity to Magic Kingdom, of course, is really fun too. So it's kind of, I don't know that I have a preference one over the other. I loved both of them for very different reasons. I really enjoyed being on the boardwalk. The whole vibe over on the boardwalk with, the location of the Beach Club is just a really fun, chill, relaxed vibe. I really, really liked that. My kids loved it, and there's so much green space and open places for them to play. Although Stormalong Bay, which is the 3-acre sand bottom pool that Beach and Yacht Club share, is incredible, as I mentioned in my previous video, it is not the perfect fit for my kids at their ages. The splash pad at the Grand is a much better fit. So I think most people with older kids would choose the opposite, but for me, the Grand Floridian having a splash pad was actually the better option with young toddlers, because it was just pretty stressful to be in Stormalong Bay with it just being so large and so open and deeper waters and all that kind of thing. So that's just like a personal preference. As far as theming, I love the theming in both. There's really nothing like, in my opinion, the lobby in the Grand Floridian. It just like, I love the ambiance in there. I love the piano player that plays in the evening. I love everything about it. And it definitely has more of an impact to me than walking into the beach club lobby. But the beach club lobby is very charming in its own right and smells really good. And we've just had really great experiences at both. I think I probably prefer the Grand just a little bit more because it just has, there's just something about it that I can't put my finger on that just like makes me feel so giddy with just like joy. But my husband Riley prefers the beach club. I think he really likes that really laid back, chill atmosphere. And it's not like I love the Grand way more. I just think if they were in a running, I think I might choose the Grand, but I don't know. The beach club location's pretty awesome. So they're both really great. It really depends on what you're looking for. I would say the main thing it comes down to, in my opinion, is which park do you want to spend more time in, Magic Kingdom or Epcot, because those are the two parks that those particular resorts have very, very easy access to. So if you plan on spending a lot of time in Magic Kingdom and you're looking at those two, I would say Grand, and then Epcot, I would say Beach Club. But I'd love to stay at other resorts on the boardwalk, like the Boardwalk and the Yacht Club. They're just really, it's a really, really cool location. Another question I got that kind of piggybacks off of this is there a resort that you really want to stay at? And the answer is yes, it is the Polynesian. I would love to stay at the Polynesian. I've heard such good things about it. And I think it would be I love the theming, and I think we would enjoy it a whole lot. There's definitely been a lot of construction over at the Poly, and so I would maybe like to see that wrapped up. Just don't love the idea of like seeing construction and hearing it on a vacation the entire time, but we'll see. I think that could be a really cool place to stay as well. I had several questions about our stroller. We have an UPPAbaby Vista stroller, and we have it with the 2 seats, so it's a double stroller. Someone said, would you consider getting a travel stroller? We actually already have a travel stroller, and it is, what's it called? The UPPAbaby G-Lux, I believe is what it's called. And it's an umbrella stroller, but it's really nice. We love it so much. And we use that for travel everywhere but Disney. Disney is the only place where we take the time to pack the UPPAbaby, because the UPPAbaby is such a nice stroller, and I just love pushing it, and I love the way you can load it up, and I love the way I just love everything about it. And it's worth it to me with all the walking in Disney to bring it. So I really love it. Another stroller that is very, very similar to the UPPAbaby is the Mockingbird. So I can link that below too if you want to check that one out. That has a very similar setup to the UPPAbaby, and I know a lot of folks love that one. So that might be a good fit for your family as well. And if not, of course, you can rent a stroller. There's so many strollers that you can rent through the different rental agencies. And then if you just want something very, very simple and basic, you can just rent a stroller right in any of the parks in Disney themselves. I was asked about the time change. It's only a 1-hour time change from where we live in Texas to Orlando, but I was asked about the time change, and also a few questions about like, how do you as a parent stay in the moment and enjoy it when it's not always 100% easy when you have 2 little ones with you, which I totally agree. The time change didn't affect our kids really at all, to be honest with you. And it definitely could have, but on this past trip, it really didn't. So I don't have much to say about that. I think they were just so exhausted that we just, kept things as normal as possible. And then with sort of like staying sane as parents, there are definitely moments where, everyone's feeling a little overstimulated and you need a little reset. I think having the right attitude of not trying to check things off a list, but instead just enjoying time as a family tends to work a little bit better. And so we would just take the time to let the kids run and play. We would go get a coffee, let them play, get popsicles or frozen treats of some kind, and hang out and that kind of thing. And then every night after I got the kids to bed, I would go and sit on the edge of the bathtub and soak my feet in the tub. I would turn it like as hot as I could stand it because, you've been walking all day. And I would usually like listen to an audiobook or turn on a YouTube video or something. I brought my Kindle in there a couple nights, and I would just like soak my feet for 30 minutes and read or watch a video or something. And that was a good decompression for me. So, we were all exhausted by the end of the day and got good sleep, and then we would just do it all over again. A few questions about, is there anything you wish you had done differently? The only really headlining thing that I really would have done differently is to have ordered a grocery delivery with breakfast items for my kids to be delivered to the hotel upon our arrival. With my kids, they're used to waking up and then eating breakfast right away, and so having to get us all ready and out the door and then go get breakfast, it was a little challenging some mornings. And so what we ended up doing was using some of the snacks that we had brought, and in the morning they would just eat like a protein bar kind of thing or whatever. But having like more substantial breakfast items would have been a real win for our family because the kids would have gotten satiated right away upon waking up. So in the future, we will do that. Someone asked how we snagged a Space 220 reservation. That was the only reservation that I made before our trip, and it was the only one that I made right at the day mark when we were able to, and I went on right at that time and got Space 220 because I knew that one would be hard to snag. So that's how we did that one. Everything else, if you've watched our vlogs, was more spur of the moment, the morning of, the night before, and that kind of thing. I had a few questions about park hopping. One person said, why would you not just choose one park per day? Park hopping is a waste of money when you only spend 1 to 2 hours in each. I would agree with that, but we didn't only spend 1 to 2 hours in each. Oftentimes we would get to the parks around 9 or 10. We would be there until the afternoon, and that would be sometimes 5 or 6 hours. And then we would head over to another park for the evening. I am like a park hopping lover for life. I will never not park hop. I absolutely love it. I do not like staying in one park all day. There is something very magical to me about being in one place in the morning and one place in the evening, because I feel like each park has such a different vibe in the early morning hours, midday, and evening. And I especially love like evening, nighttime vibes in all the parks. I just feel like it's a really cool atmosphere. And so I think it's really fun for like Epcot's one. I just love being in Epcot in the evening. So the fact that we were staying right beside Epcot and then we could be in any other park, come back, and then go into Epcot for a few hours in the evening, so worth it to me. Park hopping will always be worth it to me. I know there are people who disagree, but that's our opinion as a family, is that we really love it. We love to be in multiple parks every day and get to sample all the different atmospheres and whatnot. So to each their own on that. I had a few people ask, like, what about other places with your kids besides Disney? And what you guys have to understand is I have an 18-month-old and a 3-year-old, and they're very young. We have big plans to do. We talk about going on a 2-week trip to the UK all the time in the next few years, maybe like a little more than a few years, and all kinds of other things. We also do a family beach vacation to the Outer Banks. We do a family cabin vacation every year in the fall, and many other trips in between, especially because my family lives across the country. The reality is there are not that many vacations that feel like vacations with very little kids. I'm just gonna say it, that's how we feel. And Disney is one that feels like a true vacation because it caters towards families, it is built for families, and the whole setup is made so that as a family, each member can enjoy themselves and have fun and have a good time. And you just don't find that in a lot of other places. In fact, I had a friend who had never taken her kids to Disney. She has 4 kids, and she had a trip and then canceled it and then was going back and forth on whether or not she wanted to go. And I told her, I said, I promise you, it really is set up for families. Like, I really think you're gonna have a good time. So she took all 4 of her kids, which are all under the age of like 7 or 8. So they're quite young. And they had the most incredible time. She could not believe, she was just blown away by how well Disney has it set up so that everybody in the family can have fun. So that's kind of how we feel about it. We'll probably do a lot of Disney in the next few years outside of, our beach trip, our cabin trip, and then the other little trips that we take for, like Easter's coming up, and we're gonna do that. And then as the kids get a bit older, I would love to do some international traveling and some things like that. But like the thought of international traveling right now, no. Epcot is the extent that I could handle with a 1 and a 3-year-old right now. It's just, they're not the right ages yet for something like that. And that's a really big undertaking, and I don't want to do that until everyone can really enjoy it. And so that's kind of what we think about all that. All right, I'm going to take the time to answer maybe 2 more questions or something like that. I had so many people comment something along the lines of, please share about traveling with kids, doing the airport with kids. We're so stressed out by it. This stresses me out more than actually going to Disney. I know that it can be intimidating to take your kids to the airport and do the whole airport rigmarole with a little kid or multiple little kids. We counted the other day, and our daughter, who's 3, has flown on, it might be 35 flights now. She's flown 35 times in her 3.5 years of life. Because like I said, with my family across the country, we are constantly on the go going to see family members. So we have traveled a lot with her, and then our son, it's been less, of course, because he's younger, but we've traveled by airplane with him quite a lot as well. Like anything, it gets easier over time. You get into a rhythm over time. The thing that I always tell myself is no matter how difficult it is, the flight is only, for Disney, for us, it's about 2 hours and 45 minutes. I'm like, it's 2.5 hours ish. I can do anything for 2.5 hours. We don't have a lot of like rules when we're flying. We let the kids watch cartoons on our phones or on our tablets. We bring snacks for them to eat. Lollipops are a big win with my older daughter. Kind of keeps her occupied. We'll bring some drawing supplies. A lot of times I'll go to the dollar store or just buy a couple of cheap toys that are new and they're allowed to open them on the plane. Our son loves books, so we always bring a couple of his favorite books to read to him on the plane. We try to, if we can, book the flights to be either late enough that they'll fall asleep, early enough that they'll fall asleep, or around their nap rest time. But there's no really magic formula. You know your kid, you know what helps your kid get through a period of waiting. And I think it's a really good time to utilize some of those tools, like maybe a tablet if your kid doesn't usually play on a tablet or watch cartoons. Maybe for that 2.5 hours, that would be a good, you know what your kid likes. We have had some smooth flights that have gone off without a single hitch, and we've had some flights that have been pretty rough, where there have been some tears and tantruming and frustration, and you just have to get through it. So I always think to myself, I'm never going to remember this flight, but I'll always remember this trip, and that's the truth. I'll always remember the memories that I made, like on this particular trip in Disney World with my 2 little kids. I don't even now today, it's only been a few weeks, I don't even remember how the flights went. I honestly couldn't tell you. I think they went okay. I don't really remember because you just don't remember that. So you can do it. You can do it. And if you're just kind to the people around you and kind to the flight attendants and things like that, everyone's like always been super willing to help. And we've just had really good experiences with other people and staff. All right, I'll answer 2 more questions. The first one is one that I got a lot in various forms. Basically, do I have anything on my Disney bucket list that I haven't yet done? I mean, I'd love to stay at a whole bunch of different resorts. I'd love to go to Aulani in Hawaii, which is a Disney property. There's a lot of things like that. But within Disney World, something that I would really like to do is hire a VIP tour guide for a day and have that whole experience. I've watched lots of videos about that, podcasts and things like that, and it just sounds like a really cool and unique experience. That's something that I would most likely do when our kids are a bit older and they could have some input on the things that they would really want to do during that day. That might be something fun to do on a shorter trip if we go for like a long weekend when the kids are a little older, but I would really like to experience that. I've heard some really cool things from some of you who have hired VIP tour guides, but I don't know. I don't know if that's something we'll ever do. I would like to try it. And the second and last question that I'll answer for today is, do you have another trip planned? We're tentatively talking about going sometime this fall. We will see. I would love to go again. It was the best vacation I think I've ever been on, and definitely my favorite Disney trip I've ever been on. My kids the ages were just, it was so fun. They absolutely loved it. They enjoyed the rides. Nora, my daughter, loved looking at all of the characters and meeting them, and I don't know, we had a really just pleasant, fun, bonding family week, and I would love to capture this time again and go sometime this fall. Plus, both of the kids have their birthdays in the fall, so it would be fun if we could do sort of like some kind of little birthday moment for them. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. A lot of people were asking, like, are you going to go on a cruise soon? I would love to go on a cruise. I do think that it makes the most sense to wait. It's not even that much longer until my son is 3 and he can go into the kids programs as well without having to like pay separately for the nursery. I think when that's the case and Riley and I could go out to dinner a couple of times or go to the spa or just have an hour in the adults only section to just, sunbathe and read our books or whatever while the kids are having a great time in the kids area. To me, that makes a lot of sense. But at this stage, they're too young. He's too young. So I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking as far as the cruise is concerned, is waiting another 18 months or so, which again, like it'll go by so fast, which is sad but true. So anyway, thank you so much for following along with this video and all the other videos that I have been sharing with regards to Disney. I love talking about it and sharing with you guys, and I just really appreciate your support. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel because you will not want to miss when we hopefully go back later this year. And I hope this video answered any lingering questions. And then if you have other questions that I didn't answer in this video and you haven't watched all of the other videos in this series, I recommend going back and watching them because I really tried to be as informative as possible to answer any questions that you may have. So thanks so much for watching. Make sure to check out my shop, BlairLambDesign.com, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Thanks again. Bye.